Hey Taylor Army, tired eyes, messy hair, why not do a video blog? So here's another episode of All Things Taylor. I wasn't really sure I was going to do an episode, to be honest, today. I was having so many thoughts going through my head. I was very disturbed by the news about the shooting today. And it just seems like almost every day now there's a shooting of some kind, whether it's in schools, whether it's bullies, whether it's home invasions, mosques, other churches, movie theaters, you name it. If we live in such a fear culture now, but honestly, it's a logical emotion to have. Um, and I just really started thinking about my experiences from being a teacher. And just, I started even thinking even more past that and thinking about what happens from the time we were born, because we aren't born seeing color, like the colors of people's skin. We aren't born seeing genders. We aren't born with any sort of prejudice. So what happens from the time that we are born to the time that we are supposedly functioning members of society? And then all of a sudden we're witnessing racism, sexism, every sort of ism basically designed to make us feel small, and I just don't get it. I don't understand it. It is 2019 and we're still dealing with the same issues we've been having for decades, but we want to act like we are so far above what was going on in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. Fast forward to 2019, we're still doing this. Things are getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm fired up. These are just some of the thoughts that were going through my head. And I figured, well, if they're going through my head, why not share them in a video blog, for better or worse? And I really decided to just go with that. And then I remembered a little keepsake that I had kept after I had left the YMCA. When I was a teacher. And I just started remembering all the amazing students that I was blessed to have. And I remembered I had some of these. So I'm going to go over a couple of them with you. And, you guys can feel free to stop watching if you disagree so much, you want to hate me. I respect your right to have an opinion. It's your opinion. I am not about attacking people, so I'm going to keep this positive. If you disagree, you disagree. If you don't disagree, you don't. But I think that most of us can agree that it is time for a change. It's time for something to happen, and when is enough going to be enough? And I just think that there's so much that we can learn from kids, and we really don't give them enough credit. They are so resilient, they are so strong, and they are fighting. And it's time that we do something. It really is. And they need to see that there's adults that care. They need to see what's the good side of humanity. So there's this card. It may not seem like much, but this here is from Connor. Connor was this really quiet, introverted, multiracial student that we had. And he had a very awesome, really cool single mom. And we weren't really sure how well he was going to do in the program because he had a lot of separation anxiety. He was going through a lot of instability after, his parents getting divorced, and he was having a very hard time with that. He didn't have the skills yet to fully understand, and he thought that it was his fault, which is unfortunate and sad. And his parents were doing the best they can. And what's cool about Connor is he started to thrive in the program, and nobody once ever cared where his family was from, what nationality he was. They didn't care that his parents were divorced. These kids welcomed Connor with open arms, and we saw him start to smile. We saw him start to be more confident and amazing and healthy, just an all-around good kid. His grades went up. He was making friends. He was socializing and coming out of his shell, so to speak. This one is, it says my name, Taylor. And the inside of the card says, love, Hannah. You can see me and Hannah featured here. Hannah was adorable. You're not supposed to have favorites, but I just love her so much. I still have a photo of her. I nicknamed her the first day, not very creatively, I might add, Hannah Banana, and it stuck. So for the next several years, all the kids would call her Hannah Banana, and she was everybody's little pet project. You know, she was just so cute, and everybody wanted to take care of her, and you know, just protect her and, you know, make her laugh. And, you know, she was with a bunch of older kids, and it was her first time being in an after school program, and she was just amazing. She was a giggly, happy-go-lucky little girl. She followed me around like a little shadow. Oh gosh, I love her. She was so amazing, so cute, as you can see from this card. Nobody cared that she was a girl. Nobody cared that, you know, they didn't care about circumstances, is my point. They welcomed Hannah with open arms, no questions asked. Wouldn't that be amazing if adults could act like that? This next one says, get well. And it's so cute, so artistically done. And then on the inside, it says, forever and always from question mark, question mark, question mark. And you can see little hearts and peace signs. Yes, Ashley, I know it was you. Ashley was a very creative young lady. I feel like she was an old soul. She had such maturity for someone so young. When I started teaching that program, she was probably in about 4th or 5th grade, and I had her through 6th, and she was so smart. I swear that girl was already better at math than I was. Very hard to help her with her homework. She was just so great. She helped look out for Hannah. She followed rules. She was taken care of a lot by her grandma, and she was just such a well-adjusted young woman. And what's really cool is, fast forward years later, I was booked to be at Rhode Island Comic Con, and I happened to see her, and I got to take pictures with her, and it was just such an amazing feeling, because they got to see that my career went somewhere, and that even though I had to leave them, it was for a good reason. And it was such a heartwarming moment. It was so awesome. I love them. And of course, because I still have these cards, a lot of them say get well because they knew I was leaving the YMCA, and they knew that around that time was when I was misdiagnosed with cancer, and I happened to be working at the YMCA when I got that news. So one of my fellow teachers actually got them to write me get well cards and we will miss you cards and stuff. Children are just the best. This one says Taylor and love, Ben. Ben was a younger brother. He was going through a lot because his parents had split up. They were both really loving and attentive parents, but it was just hard for children. And he ended up being the middle child later on because he ended up getting a little sister. So not only did he have an older brother, he had a younger sister, and he was going through a lot with that. And the kids were so great. You know, other kids that had gone through that experience were helping him. And every day at the Y, he would share some of his snacks with during homework time with another little boy who happened to be of African American descent. And Ben didn't care. The only concern Ben had is, hey, are you going to be my partner when we go to the gym later? You know, because all the kids just loved gym time, and we would play all these really fun games together and stuff. That was the only care. No questions asked. Imagine again if adults could be like that. This is another really cute one. Says Trent, we Taylor miss you. And it has a big heart, and it says my name on some stairs, I guess. Trent came in at the same time as Hannah. They were both 5 years old. He had a speech impediment, so his name was Twent instead of Trent. And he loved SpongeBob. So anytime he would be really excited or really disappointed about something, he would go, "Oh, Barnacles." Cutest little kid. Trent's dad was a police officer. And he was such a great dad. He would always come and check up and make sure everybody was safe at the YMCA. He was that type of cop that even if he was off duty and he saw someone on the side of the road that needed help, he would stop and help them. Those are the kind of police officers and civil servants that I believe in. And Trent, when he came in, he had a lot of adjusting to do. He was like, oh my gosh, there's so many kids. What am I going to do? Him and Hannah did so well. They made all kinds of friends, and it didn't matter what they looked like. It didn't matter where they came from. It didn't matter how old they are. They all got along together. Another lesson, I think. So that's Trent. I dropped some of these while I was talking, so now I'm trying to pick some of them up here. Oh, okay. Hi! Get well soon, Taylor. I heard this was your favorite color. Sam. Sam was one of the older kids I had in the program, and she had a younger brother who was also in the program, and their family had also gone through a divorce. And what's really funny about Sam is she just loved any sort of attention she could get. She was always learning new things. She was always very artistic, and I'll never forget, her favorite color is seafoam green. Not teal, not lime, not turquoise, seafoam green. Seafoam everything. I remember Sam, it's hard to explain. She was such a beautiful person. She was always very giving. If one of the kids needed help with homework, even though she really wanted to be done with homework time, she would help them. Whenever her brother needed help, he was learning how to tie his shoes, she would stop and help him. Even if she was really agitated with him, she would always find ways to help out Jack. That's what we always called him. His name was Jack, but we always called him Jack. Sam, she always felt that she was ugly. And I always thought she was just so beautiful. But she always wanted to look like her mom. And her mom was like the complete opposite of her. Sam was very tan, beautiful dark brown hair, big, beautiful eyes, long eyelashes, beautiful smile. She was adorable. Her mom was this amazingly successful, beautiful woman with very fair skin, straight, long blonde hair, big blue eyes. And what was really cool is working with Sam, we really got her to, I guess you would say, just love herself and love that she is unique and that she is beautiful. And it doesn't matter what anybody else says, that no one can take away from her how beautiful she is and how just completely one of a kind. And seeing her like struggle with that and overcome that and learn to appreciate that was such a beautiful experience, because a lot of us, including myself, even as adults, still struggle with that on a daily basis. And then here's this girl in 5th grade, going through this and already miles and miles ahead of people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. And some people still never get to that lesson. So that's such a really cool experience. And for me, such a heartwarming story. Seafoam green. Let's see. Picking up another one. Oh, this one's cute. It's a mouse, and it says, "It's no piece of cheese." And the reason why it's spelled peace like that is because all the kids knew that I was such a big hippie and that I just loved peace signs, and my wrestling gear at that time had peace signs in the shape of hearts on it. So they were such cool kids. And on the inside, it says, "Get well soon, Taylor. We will miss you." And from Aubrey. And it has little rainbows, Sam and Aubrey. Aubrey was the younger of 2 sisters, and her sister were so crazy artistic, if you couldn't really tell from this card that I just hit myself in the face with. And they were so smart and so inclusive and so amazingly nice. They would sit there and crochet and knit and do crazy amounts of math homework and English and science, and they were so cool. They were so nice to just everyone. They had the sweetest parents that were just so amazing, and they just loved everyone. They never really cared. They never really asked for anything. They were just so appreciative of everything. And those are some amazing kids, because you know how some kids can be. But to have such kids like that who helped look after the younger kids, who never made a fuss, showed kids, you know, how to tie their shoes, how to do the chores that we were expected to do in the classroom, how to get ready for the lines, how to act during reading time, help them pick out books for reading time, learning about sharing and all these other things. There was never any expectation right there. They were doing that because they wanted to, and that's so cool. More adults should be like that. Sorry, I had to pick up some of these right here. Oh my goodness. So, this is Josh. What's really cool about Josh is Josh was one of 2 brothers, and his family is from the Middle East. And when him and his brother got to our program, they were not just speaking 1 language, they were actually speaking 3 languages. And they were so smart, but so like hyperactive, because they weren't used to being around so many kids. And they were just immediately welcomed in. There was no judgment from the other kids. They were just so excited to have more new kids, and new kids that had other new interests to go with other people's interests. They were so excited. And what's very interesting about Josh is Josh was in, I want to say the 5th grade. It could have been, I know it wasn't 6th, but it could have been 4th. But I'm pretty sure it was the 5th grade because he was the younger of the 2 brothers. He had decided and really come to terms with the fact that he was gay. And he was very nervous about it, and he didn't know how to approach it. He just knew and understood that he liked boys. And what was very interesting is when he came out, he basically came out to the YMCA before his own parents, and none of the kids treated him any differently. They didn't care. To them, they were like, hey, are you still going to be the medic when we go to play? Which was one of their favorite games that we would play at the gym. And he'd be like, yeah, all right, great. You know, and of course, some of the younger kids didn't really understand what that meant. But it gave him the confidence to be able to be himself and to not be afraid and to just really grow as a person. And I think for him to know so young and to have the guts to, you know, come forward like that in what could potentially be a very, you know, vulnerable situation, he was treated with nothing but love and open arms and, cool, man, let's go play. You know, they really didn't care. They didn't care the color of his skin. They didn't care where his family was from. You know, they didn't care about anything other than the fact that he was good to them. And that is just such an amazing, I told you these kids were so fantastic. Like, seriously, they were like the dream kids. So that was Josh, and it was really cool to be a part of his journey like that. Let's see, who is this one? Oh, okay. So right here, I'm not really sure what that is. And then it says, I hope you feel better, Taylor, and it has hearts. This was from a little 4th grader named Robert, and he was from a mixed family. He was half African American, half Native American, and he was just one of the most individual types of kids I have ever met. He was so full of energy, and he was so science oriented. He already knew exactly what he wanted to be when he grew up. He knew exactly how he was going to get there, and he was just all about what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. And he was so full of like thoughts for science, and what he actually wanted to do was work for NASA, which is like crazy cool to hear a kid say. You know, you normally hear, oh, I want to be a football player, I want to be a movie star, I want to be, you know, stuff like that. But Robert wanted to work for NASA, and he was one of 2 boys. He was the older, and nobody cared what nationality he was. The only thing they cared about was, could he, in the summertime, build them something that was based off of model rockets, but basically it would be like a sprinkler version of a model rocket. And the kids were all about it. They tried planning it for months and months and months and months. And Robert felt all this pressure, but he was like, yeah, I'm going to build this, and it's going to be so cool. And we're going to have a day outside in the play area at the school. And they were all going to have their bathing suits and have like this really cool party. And if, you know, we did this big contest, and of course we were going to let them win anyway, but it was based on how many books they could read at over a certain amount of time during reading time every day, which is part of their part of our daily schedule. And he did it. He did it. Robert built this cool little thing with his dad. And it kind of tried to shoot off like a model rocket. But instead of that, it was a sprinkler that looked like a model rocket. It was so cool. Such a cool experience. But again, so I guess what I'm just trying to say in a nice way is these kids are so amazing. These kids are individuals. These kids are unique. They're amazing. They're beautiful. They're funny. They're charismatic. They're individuals. And they are more inclusive, more accepting, and more resilient than most of the adults I've met throughout my life. So I just really got to thinking today, what is it that makes these kids so amazing? And then we somehow lose that amazingness and that acceptance by the time we get to be adults. It's really unfortunate, and I want to protect kids like this. I want them to grow up, and I feel that they are important. You know, I mean, let's face it, these are going to be our doctors someday. These are going to be teachers someday. These are potentially going to be people working on our rockets for NASA, you know, our spaceships and whatnot. These are kids that are the future, and they're going to be bringing up the future's future. So what are we doing to protect them right now? And are we really leading by example is basically, I guess, the material point. And what are we doing? And why? And is there a way to really come back from this? You know, all this death, all of this killing, all of these shootings, all of these stabbings, all of this violence, to what end? For what? Why? I don't hate anyone based on the color of their skin or where their family hails from. I don't care how you choose to self-identify. I don't care if you are gay, straight, bisexual. I don't care if you are transgender. I don't care what your political or religious affiliations are. All I care about is that you yourself are yourself, have the freedom to be yourself, and that you are a good human being. And that's what I loved about these kids. And that's what I want to see more in society. Is just loving each other and doing the right thing and passing on these values. Don't pass on the hate, the humiliation, and all this other stuff, because all you're teaching children is to hate and humiliate. And then where does that leave us? Exactly where we are right now. And that doesn't sit well with me. I believe in equality for everyone. And I don't want people to be afraid to go to church anymore. I don't want people to be afraid to go to the movie theater. I don't want people being afraid in their own homes. I don't want people being afraid seeing someone walk past them down the street just based on the color of their skin. I don't want people being targeted for their sexual orientation or their gender. I don't want people being killed because of the color of their skin or where 5 generations ago their family was from. That makes no sense. None of it does. Hate has no rhyme. It has no reason. And I don't feel it has a place in this society. So these are the thoughts that have been going through my head over and over and over all day today. Thank you, Taylor Army, for going on this journey with me. And I hope that you just leave this video blog with a sense of we need to do better. Without an agenda, without judgment, we need to do better. Thank you.